Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. Build a seed with the negativity.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the Sports Report Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. William D. Morgan, and I have a cast of thousands with me. We're going to talk about everything that happened during the week, but particularly on Christmas Day, we had some fantastic games in both the NBA and the NFLs. We're going to talk about all that and more tonight with you. Thank you for being here. We do appreciate it. Hope everyone had a happy, good Christmas. Let me go ahead and start bringing folks on first. This man has forgotten more baseball than I will ever know. Let me bring my man 7-7. What's up? What's going on with you, man?
Man, I'm so glad to be here. I want to start by apologizing to Detroit Pistons fans. See, there was a deal where they were paying me to play as the Pistons in NBA 2K. And so as a result, what Pistons fans have actually been seeing is me losing on 2K because I suck at basketball, even in video games. So this 26-game losing streak they have is legitimately my fault. So I owe all Pistons fans an apology. I don't know what happened to the real team, though. I don't know if they just got stuck in Adam Silver's ears or what it is, but I want to apologize.
And we don't know. We don't know what's going on. We really don't know. All right, let me go ahead and bring my man Ando on. Ando, what's going on with you?
I'm sorry. Will, this just in, the Pistons just dropped their 27th game in a row.
Is it? I thought it was 26. Okay, 27.
It was 27th tonight. 27th was officially their 27th tonight. Yeah, dude. I just don't know. We can make a case worst NBA team ever. I think even worse than the what was it? 2011 Bobcats that only won 7 of the 59 games that they played. They're on pace to do it,
though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. That was the season. Yeah, that was the season that D-Rose tore his ACL in the playoffs because they put so many games in a row.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was one of my talking points for today was the Pistons losing 27 straight. So thank you, 7, for starting that off. Round of applause. Greatly appreciate it. But yeah, no, I mean, absolutely, just fundamentally, I think just one of the worst teams. Bad luck, I think, also is a part of it. But yeah, I mean, there's just at this point 27. Thank God for the Lions at this point, or they'd really be a bad team at this point.
Facts. All right, gentlemen, let's go ahead and get everything started. And with both of you being Chiefs fans, I feel we'll go ahead and pivot to that game.
Of course, we start with that one, right?
With the Raiders and the Chiefs. Raiders get the win, 20-14. Ando, I'll let you start things off. What was your thought about the game?
I think we're going to start with the obvious. The Chiefs have a very, 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 very good defense. You allow 6 offensive points, you should be able to win a football game. Take away the 2 turnovers that the defense had for the Raiders and the 2 touchdowns subsequently in 7 seconds. This is a completely different ballgame. Patrick looked a lot like he did in Super Bowl 55 against the Buccaneers, where he had to run for his life towards the second half there. And then all through the third and fourth quarter, he was running, didn't look for anybody. I think at this point right now, mentally, he is distraught. I don't think he's not right in the mind for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't think it's necessarily him trusting himself, but I don't think he trusts himself to put the ball in a position where his receivers can catch it. I don't know if he trusts his receivers outside of Kelsey to make catches. Again, Kelsey had a drop. Rice had 2 drops.
Yep.
MVS had a drop on the sideline. Mahomes is putting the ball in places that he shouldn't be putting balls in. Again, that interception on the sideline that got called back because of the defensive holding. personally, I was talking to my sister about this and my brother and my parents. Somebody's got to light a fire under the Chiefs, whether it's Andy, got to stop being the nice guy. Matt Nagy needs to get up off his ass and start putting people responsible. And if you're not going to play the way you need to play, get your ass on the bench and put people in who are going to do their job. I think outside of the Denver game, this was the hardest game to watch this year because there was no life in Kansas City. I mean, the fans there are watching a team, I think for the first time since Mahomes took over, that just doesn't have the drive. I mean, at this point right now, I think everybody can agree that Kansas City will be one and done if they don't get their shit together.
What do you think, Seven?
I agree with pretty much everything he had to say. The only things I would like to add on is that Matt Nagy needs to go.
Yep.
He should have been fired this morning. There's no excuse for the performance that this offense has, and
on a consistent basis too.
And it's been a very consistent problem throughout the year. MVS and Kadarius Toney were Chiefs last year and did not have near the issue with drops.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Kelce did not have near the issue with drops.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I think Eric Bieniemy is a great coach, but Matt Nagy should have found a solution that reduces the problem now.
Yeah. At this point, yeah. Like I said, man, go ahead, man.
No, it's just, it's frustrating as a Chiefs fan because this is legitimately, and I think you can agree, this is legitimately the best defense in Chiefs history.
Yeah.
Legitimately the best defense in Chiefs history. And we will not make it past the wild card round if our offense can't get their shit together.
Yep.
No, there's no way, even if by luck we make it to the NFC Championship, there's no way we're beating the Ravens.
Nope.
Or at the way we're playing the Dolphins.
Yep.
Because the Dolphins will wear our defense out like the Raiders did yesterday.
Yep. I'm going to say it right now because I have the NFL playoff machine on ESPN up on my computer right now on my second screen. At the moment, they have Kansas City Drew to be the third against Buffalo at the moment, who's the sixth. And Buffalo, the way that they're playing right now, I would say besides Baltimore, they're the toughest team in the AFC.
We're not
at this point right now.
Not the way we're playing.
No. And at this point right now, as of this morning, unless Miami free falls and they still win the division, there's no way that we can take second. Unless Miami loses both, we win both, and Buffalo loses week 17 to New England, which is not going to happen. Buffalo's going to beat New England. So if Buffalo beats New England, that puts Buffalo at 10-6. Miami plays Baltimore. If Baltimore beats Miami, Miami would be 11-5. Buffalo would be 11-6. And then that winner of the Buffalo-Miami game in week 18 takes the AFC East and essentially the 2 seed. If Buffalo wins, the best that we can finish is 11-6. But because of tiebreaker, we're still going to stay in the third. And then that puts us in the 3 seed, either against Buffalo, if they're still the wild card, or it's going to put us against Cleveland in the playoffs. Yep. And I don't think either one of those two teams we can beat.
We can beat Cleveland. And it's simply because our defense is better than their defense. One of the things that a lot of people don't think about with the Raiders is that is a really good defense.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the game against Minnesota where the Raiders lost 3-0.
Yep.
The Raiders defense held Minnesota to 3 points. 3 points.
Yep. They held them scoreless for 58 minutes.
3 points.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think enough people are giving the Raiders credit for how good their team is. I've been saying for 3 years they were one piece away from being a wild card team. Will has heard me say it multiple times. And now that they have a solid coach that has brought them together and brought that locker room together, you're getting the best out of every single one of these players that we've ever seen, including Officer Farva at quarterback.
Yeah. Dude, he's a rookie, but I think you should give O'Connell the keys to the team next year and see what happens, because
Absolutely.
he's not turning the ball over. He's being I mean, he's a game manager, and most people hate game managers, but the kid is protecting the football when he needs to. He's keeping the ball on the ground between Jacobs and Zamir White.
Yep.
So I mean, the kid knows how to play. The kid knows when to make his plays. So
he will be the next Chase Daniel. He will be the next Chad Henne. He is going to be a perennial backup that is really good every time he has to go in and fill in for the starter. But you will not see any extended success out of Aiden O'Connell. The reason that the Raiders won that game was because of their defense.
Yep.
Aiden O'Connell did not complete a pass for 3 quarters yesterday.
Yeah.
This is the NFL.
Yeah.
This isn't college.
No.
This isn't fucking arena football. You can't tell. I have not seen enough out of Aiden O'Connell to see him as anything more than a really good backup.
So do you think the Chiefs lost the game yesterday, or did the Raiders win the game yesterday?
The Chiefs offense absolutely lost the game yesterday.
Yeah. I'm in agreement.
It's because, and don't get me wrong, I have respect for the Raiders team, but they scored 2 defensive touchdowns in 7 seconds and still only beat us by 6 points.
Yep.
The way that game was being played yesterday, up to that point when that second turnover happened, the Raiders were controlling that game.
Yep.
Anybody that watched that game yesterday can say the same thing. The Raiders had control of that game. Yep. After that second turnover, the Chiefs defense went from bend, don't break to just don't break.
Yeah.
There was no bending.
Yeah.
And that's what kept Kansas City in the game.
Until that final drive when they were just completely gassed.
Exactly.
So,
which they had spent so much time out on the field, because you look at time of possession yet for the Chiefs and the Raiders yesterday, it's definitely one-sided.
Yeah.
And you have a Chiefs team or a Chiefs defense that is just exhausted.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. They have to be pissed. There has to be anger in that locker room from the defense towards the offense, and there absolutely should be. And because those fucking the Chiefs wide receiving core is dropping more balls than a fucking trans changing room at a drag show. It is absolutely ridiculous.
And I don't think at this point you can blame any one receiver. I mean, everybody likes to throw Kadarius Toney under the bus. No, at this point, it's everybody. Everybody needs to hold their head up in that meeting, in that wide receiver room, and be like, I'm going to be the one that bails Patrick out. At this point, you can't just pin it on one person at this point.
The entire wide receiving core owes the entire defense, owes the entire offensive line, and especially owes Patrick Mahomes a huge apology.
Yeah, no, and you can't just blame the wide receivers for this loss, at least. Again, the offensive line could not hold it together yesterday against that Raider front four.
They had so many fucking issues yesterday. Like it was, but on the season, because here's the deal. If we look at the drop numbers, 25% less drops, and we're a 1 seed.
Yep.
That's it. That's why, because yes, there have been other issues. There have been a couple of games this year where our offensive line was not meeting the challenge.
Yep.
No other way to put it.
Yeah.
But we still win at least 3 more games.
Yep.
Without with 25% less drops.
Yep.
Just off of that amount, which equates to like 6 drops, I think is with where the total's at now. It's like 6 to 7 drops.
Yep. So let's look at Kansas City's losses, right? Kansas City lost opening weekend to Detroit by 4. They lost to Denver. I'm going to give them the out for the Denver because they were just clearly outplayed in that Denver game. They lost to Philadelphia by 3. And again, there was a drop at the end of that game that could have turned the tide of that. You lost to Buffalo by 3. Again, an offsides penalty, and you changed the complexion of that game. You lost to Green Bay. You could say an argument of a drop in that game, and that one's completely changed. But they were down by 8. So even if they score the touchdown, they still have to score the 2-point conversion. Then who else did they lose to? They lost
I'm not
to...
saying with cutting the drops by 25%, you take care of all of the losses. You don't. I still think we have somewhere in the 3 to 5 loss column.
Yep. I can go with that.
Because we're what, 9 and
6.
Nine and 6. Okay. So realistically, we're at 4 with 25% less drops. We're at least at 4 losses instead of 6, probably 3.
Yep. I would say the game against Detroit would be a win. Like I said, the game against Denver, I'm going to count that as a loss. We could have beaten Philadelphia. Let's say Green Bay is still a loss, but we beat Buffalo and we beat the Raiders. Yeah, so we could be, at this point, we should be 12-3, if not, I would say anywhere between 11-4 and 13-2 is where we should be.
Realistically.
Yep.
And that's my issue. It's not that they're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Everybody gets the yips. It is what it is.
Yep.
But it should not be a consistent problem. And that's the problem. So if Kansas City actually wants to make it work this year, they got to get they've got to get that issue fixed now. They have to, because I don't understand why the wide receivers aren't in sync with Patrick, because outside of yesterday, Rashee Rice has been great at improvising and being where Patrick wants him to be when the play breaks down. Travis Kelce is normally pretty good about that. But MVS and Kadarius Toney have been here. We're looking at a full season now based on time.
Yep.
How are they not in sync with Patrick and doing those same things?
Yeah.
And that's where the issue is to me. And that's why I think it comes back to coaching.
Yeah.
Because Nagy should be up their ass.
Yep.
And realistically up Patrick's ass.
Yeah.
To figure this out.
Yeah. And Andy should be up in Matt's ass at this point. Andy needs to be like on this. Like, dude, what's going on? Last year we had no problems. Why is this suddenly an issue?
My other thing is, if Matt Nagy is calling any of the offensive plays right now, it needs to stop. If you're not
Hell yeah.
at least take away his play calling authority. What's available, but Andy Reid plays, Andy Reid is calling the offense again. Yeah. Because Eric Bieniemy proved he can call an offense.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Nagy hasn't proven a goddamn thing.
No. I
don't know why he has a job. We should not have brought him back. Like, I got the reasoning because of his previous experience with Patrick's first season as a starter. But you can't bounce back from what happened in Chicago. I'm sorry. You can't. So I don't know why it was tried. Maybe Brett Veach is losing his touch in, staffing decisions and player decisions. I don't know. But I'm ready for baseball season.
Damn.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I'm ready for baseball.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Well, like I said, man, in the chat that we have, I'm totally down. The NFL playoff is like the best playoff scenario in all of professional sports. So even when the Chiefs go out, I'll still be behind football at this point. But yeah, I mean, if you get a chance, play with that playoff predictor. Dude, yeah, scenarios up to galore can still happen, man. The fact that we don't have seedings figured out yet with 2 weeks ago just says how much this season has completely been off the walls. Detroit can still take the first overall in the NFC, which I am absolutely for.
All right. Let's move on to another game. Another game that I did want to go ahead and talk about real quick. I want to touch on 3. The Miami Dolphins get a win over the Cowboys, 22-20.
How about them Cowboys? I told you.
Boy, this team defense held them to a touchdown. Still can't win. What did you think about the game, 7?
I just want to say I fucking hate Dak Prescott. And it's not because he's the starting quarterback for the Cowboys. The reason I hate Dak Prescott is he is so far across the spectrum of elite talent today old dog water
Mhm.
when it comes to quarterback performances, that you can't accurately judge if he should actually be where he is as far as pay and tenure in the league. When you look at it over a season's performance, yeah, his numbers aren't bad. What was it? It was either last year or the year before. He led the league in passing yards for 2 weeks after he went out for the season because of an injury.
That was 3 or 4 years ago, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was
While
like,
ago.
yeah, 3 years, 3 years ago, I think is what it was. So for me, but it's not just Dak. And that's the thing is you're still getting inconsistent performances out of the Cowboys defense, which on paper should be one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
You're still getting inconsistent performances out of their wide receiving core.
Mm-hmm. Outside of CeeDee Lamb.
Outside-
CeeDee Lamb is playing
CeeDee
every
Lamb
week.
playing very well.
CeeDee Lamb is playing like he's hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll respect the hell out of a guy like that. But you're not really getting much else out of their out of their run game. You're not getting much else out of their wide receivers. You're not getting much else out of their tight ends.
That shocked me because Tony Pollard did like absolutely nothing yesterday.
Exactly.
Dude, he hasn't since he signed up to be the long-term solution to Zeke. He's just been like, cool. I'll be the next Zeke. Feed me money and I won't play well. It's
Yep.
My on a contract here, he'll play lights out. Jerry in his old age will forget about the shitty years because he's fucking old, and re-sign him to a stupid contract, and he'll spend most of that next contract sitting up in the press box with an injury. It's and this is why nobody has faith in the Dallas Cowboys. This is why even when they're doing well, it's one and done Cowboys.
How can a team play so well at home and then look like a completely different team on the road? It's not like Kansas City where they're consistent in their inconsistency, because one week they'll play great and then it's next week, who the hell is this team? Dallas seems to be like, hey, we're playing in front of our fans. We're going to be the best team ever. Let's put up 40 points against the Jets, the Giants, the Vikings, everybody that we play. But then you go and play a winnable game in Miami, because Miami isn't hitting on all cylinders in that game. And that defense did its job holding them to 22 points. But at the same time, your job is to keep them out of field goal range. And it's just like, oh, it's 3rd and 8. Here you go, first down. Here's 9 yards. Oh, it's 3rd and 3. You only need 3 yards? Here, man, we'll give you 4. That's fine. Oh, crap, we got 3 seconds left and they're in field goal range. It's just the Cowboys surprised me in just how much of a different team that they seem to play in Dallas versus when they're on the road, which is what makes it such a big difference, because at this point right now, they're playing as the 5 seed and need to hope Philadelphia loses to either the Giants or the Cardinals. Is that the other team that they play? They're not losing to the Cardinals. I'm sorry. And then the way that they beat up on the Giants, the Giants made it a game, but the Giants play them twice a year. They're going to make it a game.
It's a division rivalry. It's always going to be a game.
Yep.
And then Dallas wonders why their fans are always so pissed off on, oh man, we can't win a game. If Jerry would put a consistent team that wants to play each and every week on the field, not just in front of their fans, but each and every week, if they played a consistent brand of Dallas football like they played. That's why I love Jimmy Johnson so much, because that guy made his team work. Hey, we need an extra practice or we need a harder practice. Get out there, guys. We're going to do it. But you saw the results on the field. And Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones, for whatever reason, it's, we got the win. You guys don't need to practice. Your shit. Oh, damn. We just got throttled by this team by 30 points. Oh, shit, man. Maybe we should. And that's what's going to happen. Now, what's going to happen this year is they're going to draw the 5 seed. And I'm going to say, sorry, Will, very sorry. They're going to draw a hungry Tampa Bay team that's happy to be in the playoffs. And
don't bother me. I'm an independent fan.
Tampa's going to beat the shit out of them, because Dak is going to be like, oh, dude, it's just Tampa. Our offense didn't. Oh, shit, that defense just scored 21 points on us.
Really? You think you're going to inconsistent Dak really think he's going to beat Baker Mayfield in a contract year
No.
in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think
Baker gets to rise again. Yeah, no, Dallas ain't surviving.
Baker's going to stay. Baker's going to get that contract in Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
Watch.
Yeah, he's staying in Tampa.
So,
He's staying in Tampa.
Yep.
He should. He's earned it. He should.
Oh, absolutely. Dude, I've always been a fan of Baker. Since he led Cleveland to the playoffs in that win against Pittsburgh, I've been a Baker fan since then, man. So
Yeah.
I don't like the rap that he gets of being a bad quarterback, because he's not. He's a good quarterback. I think he tends to be a little careless with the ball at times, but he's the first overall pick. He reminds me a lot of Goff with more of the with more of the negativity. And again, I don't know why he gets that negative press. He's a damn good quarterback. He plays with his heart, puts his feelings on his sleeves, and at the end of the day, he puts it all out there.
I think a lot of the hate towards Baker Mayfield is a result of Skip Bayless not being more fucking reasonable when grading Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And Colin Cowherd, because Colin was hard on Baker coming out of college.
Exactly. And for me, I think that it's and that's the thing is with Baker's, like, there's a lot of talent there. I'm not saying he's a top 5 quarterback. I don't know that I would even put him in the top 10.
The dude played his final season in Cleveland with a torn shoulder.
Torn labor,
and chose not to sit out because he cared about the team too much. And when his stats were affected, Baker's a quarterback who's too, he sucks too bad. You go out there and throw 30 times a game with a torn shoulder labrum and you see how you perform.
Exactly. No, it's and again, I'm not saying he's the best quarterback, but I respect the hell out of him. I mean, he deserves it. He's played really well in Tampa this year, considering everything he's had to deal with.
Yep.
Probably
He's
his last
this year.
It's probably his last year with Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's staying, and I don't blame him. Mike Evans has earned the ability to go find a different team. I don't think anybody can disagree with that.
Yeah.
I just hope that the team that he finds is located in Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah, agreed. Now, while we talk about Baker, I'm going to roll it over to Cleveland. Cleveland is a win away from earning a playoff spot for the first time since 2013. But if Baltimore is to slip up in their next 2 games and Cleveland wins their next 2 games, Cleveland overleaps Baltimore for the division win.
That doesn't surprise me. I would because
I see it happening, but it would be nice to see Cleveland host a playoff game.
Because of the fact that Lamar Jackson is now the betting favorite for MVP. I hope the Ravens lose out.
Yep.
Because we're really going to look at giving Lamar Jackson MVP when the only reason he's not just throwing to Mark Andrews is because Mark Andrews is out for the fucking season.
Yeah.
He's had a little bit of talent around him the whole time. This is really the first year since 2019 where he's gonna show up and show out.
Yeah.
No. Baker he is not the MVP. I would give Tyreek Hill
or Christian McCaffrey.
I
would give it personally, I'd give it to Christian.
Christian McCaffrey first, Tyreek Hill second. Tyreek Hill's gonna need that MVP money for all those paternity lawsuits.
Yeah.
4 in 2 months. What a dumbass.
Yeah.
But it's no.
Yeah. No, y'all need to show some love for Joe Flacco. That's what y'all need to do, because it's like Cleveland wouldn't be where they are without Joe. Oh my gosh.
Unpopular opinion. I think I may have said this on the podcast last week, but unpopular opinion, whatever the penalty is against Cleveland or whatever the downside is, cut Deshaun's contract, eat the money, and just go with Flacco and DTR next year.
That's a lot of money to eat, though.
Dude, but I mean, at this point, right? I mean, I know it's all guaranteed, but to have Watson on the bench with that money on the contract, you almost have to play him if he's going to be earning that money. And Cleveland is not the same team with Watson as they are with Flacco and DTR. That defense is carrying the team, and to have, I hate to say it, but to have that cancer on the team and him just be like, yeah, man, I'm not going to play, or 3 interceptions, I could have played. He's got talent, but I would take Baker over Deshaun because Baker has the heart that Deshaun does not have.
I'm not going to deny that Deshaun Watson's a problem, but that's a lot of money to walk away from.
That's a lot of dead cap money too.
Yeah, so you've got to find somebody that will take him on a trade and take the entire contract, which means you are giving up a lot.
Man, who willing to do that?
That's what I was going to ask. What is?
I have a theory for somebody that is literally that stupid.
Please don't say the Raiders.
The Giants will do it. The Giants will do it.
The Arizona Cardinals would do it. They're moving on from Kyler Murray after this year.
Okay, but so let's say they do that. What do the Cardinals trade for Watson? Because they're going to give up a first-round pick for Watson because the Browns are going to ask for it.
You're gonna, and honestly, that's one of the things that's going to help the cost on the Arizona side is they have a high first-round pick because they have a dog shit record. They're what, 2-12, 2-13?
No, they are. Hold on, I got their record pulled up. They're at the moment 3-12.
Okay,
they are currently at the moment they are projected the second overall pick at this exact moment.
Okay,
because Carolina is 2-13, but Chicago's got their pick, and then after that it goes Washington, New England, Chargers, Titans, and Giants round out the top 7.
If Cleveland is going to anchor themselves to an aging quarterback, because let's not forget Joe Flacco is in NFL quarterback terms fucking old. You can't guarantee that you're going to get 3 years out of him, and you've still got 4 years left on the deal with fucking Deshaun
Watson. But didn't Arizona just sign Murray to a long-term deal? So they can't take Murray and Watson's contract, right?
Right, but Murray, I think they only have 2 years.
Now, if you're Cleveland, do you try to make a trade for Murray Watson and maybe throw in like a second or a third and see if they're willing to play ball like that? Because I would take Murray over Watson and then still keep Flacco and DTR on the bench.
No, you're starting Flacco. You're starting Flacco. You don't want to start Kyler Murray. He needs actual experience sitting behind a seasoned quarterback.
Okay.
You run Joe, and this is how you do it. You tell Kyler Murray, hey, look, we'll get you back into a starting position, but you're going to start off sitting behind Flacco for at least a year, and you're going to learn some shit.
But how does that help? But I'll play devil's advocate. The trade has to help both sides. This doesn't help Arizona.
Yes, it does because they get
because if anything, you can make the argument that
Murray has a bigger upside than,
he's worse than Murray.
You give him
because Deshaun has been a shell of himself since he came back.
Okay, so at this point right now, what if you take like instead of that the second overall pick, what if you take Arizona's got to have a couple seconds. You could throw a couple seconds instead of that first. So therefore, Arizona.
So you can still draft. You can still draft a little bit of help, but Arizona doing this. Any team that because it's crazy to think that Cleveland's going to do this, but if they were to do this, the team that's taking Deshaun on trade with that contract is taking it with the plan for him to be a starter. So that's going to put it down to somebody like. Okay, well, it's not going to be Carolina.
Will's right. It could be New York. Well, no, because New York can't do it because they just signed Daniel Jones to what $160 million.
Yeah, they did sign Danny Downs to a huge deal.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is going to be a hard contract for them to get away from. So really, and that's going to be part of it is that the contract is going to make it very, very prohibitive. Because, I mean, let's look at teams that are going to be in need of a quarterback. What you think the Saints want to trade for him? They don't want that.
Commanders maybe.
Commanders no, because if
I would say especially if they get rid of.
I mean, Heineke's the rookie basically.
Unless Ron Rivera gets fired and the new coach wants to take on that veteran quarterback, I'm under the impression that EB is going to be the head coach of Washington next year. And then I mean, do you start? I mean. Howell's only in his second year, so at this point right now, he's going to stick with Howell. I would have to believe.
And Howell's been playing well until recently. I think he's hit the rookie wall, so to speak, recently. Past 2 games.
He will get better. Howell will get better because Bieniemy's impact on the coaching made him look better than he was, because let's say it was Matt Nagy that was the offensive coordinator there. Sam Howell doesn't look that good.
No.
Nobody can honestly put forth the thought that if Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator there rather than Eric Bieniemy, that Sam Howell would look as good as he does.
Yeah.
So,
and who's to say that Washington isn't going down in the free fall because Ron Rivera doesn't give a shit because he knows he's going to be fired?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
the reason they're not getting rid of Ron Rivera is draft picks. They want they want to look better, so that whether it's EB that takes over as head coach there or whoever else they pick as a head coach, you've got those higher level draft picks to utilize to help fill out that offense, or use as trade bait to get pieces that you want, stuff like that. So I don't foresee I don't, and that's why I said he wasn't going to get fired till the end of the season.
Yep.
They come on. Magic Johnson is one of the principal owners now. He's not stupid.
Ain't nobody quitting now, Magic.
So but the thing to remember with Deshaun is that contract is going to be very cost prohibitive, especially when you're trying to look at, a team that needs a quarterback probably also needs a couple of pieces on offense at least.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a good offense, you need to be able to spend veteran money on at least one or two of those positions.
Mm-hmm.
And
a quarterback doesn't do you any good if you don't have any skill positions to use it with.
Exactly. So, and that's why I think that Arizona would probably be the better shot, because yes, I think the Raiders could be an interesting fit. But I think that if somebody is going to do that, it's going to be the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Because of how bad they want to get out from Kyler Murray.
And they do.
It's interesting for sure.
Because Kyler's contract, from the Browns' perspective, Kyler's contract is cheaper. So if you're going to have somebody else sitting on the bench, less is more, so to speak.
And hell, at this point, you can't. It'd be dumb to run away from Flacco at this point. The dude's less money. How much is the dude? He's making like $1.5 million, and he's playing like he played in Baltimore before he got paid. So
yeah.
And him and Amari Cooper killing it. Him and David Njoku killing it. Hell, he rejuvenated David Njoku's career. So he's playing. He's done a lot.
But if you look at Flacco's career in Baltimore, he's always been a tight end first kind of guy. He likes to involve the tight ends, and it just so happens that Cleveland has, I would say, a top 10 tight end, if not a top 5.
Yes.
Especially active with tight ends being hurt the way that they are right now.
Very much so. Very much so. The last NFL game I want to get into tonight, the one that killed me in most fantasy leagues. The Baltimore Ravens defeat the San Francisco 49ers 33-19. Damn you, Brock. Ooh, Brock Purdy. Damn you.
Yep. After that fourth interception, I turned the game off.
And tease.
Is
this just a bad game from the 49ers, or did Baltimore just take this win? What do you think?
You can't win the game when you turn over the football. And Baltimore set the tone early with 2 picks in the first, 4 drives?
Yep.
And then a third pick on the 5th. You cannot set the tone properly when you're turning the ball over. Now, don't get me wrong. Baltimore didn't take advantage of those turnovers until later in the game. For it to go into the half, 13-12, 16-12, San Francisco still had a shot, right? You didn't have to deviate from your game plan at all. But when Brock had that 4th turnover and Baltimore capitalized that into another touchdown, because Baltimore started the third quarter, I believe, with the touchdown to Aguilar. Don't quote me on that. But I know that second touchdown came off the interception 2 plays later to Zay Flowers. So when you make the score go from 16-12 to 23-12 to 30-12, you just completely flipped out your ball game. You can't run you can't run the ball with McCaffrey because you got to put the ball down the field. And McCaffrey running the ball, as much as he is a great receiving threat out of it, he gets that receiver threat because of how much danger he has running the football up the middle.
But here's the thing that kills me. I don't even mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Here's the thing that kills me. If you go back and look at the stats of this game,
he still had over 100 yards rushing.
In a situation, Kittle was over 100 yards receiving.
Yep.
Brandon Ayuk over 100 yards receiving.
Yep.
Christian McCaffrey over 100 yards in rushing. And you still get blown the hell out.
Again, turnovers will kill it, man.
Turnovers
kill it. So
and turnovers.
I think this is a good loss for San Francisco. I think this ultimately, if they make it to the Super Bowl and win it, I think this is the turning point, right? Because if you look at how San Francisco played against Cincinnati before Burrow got hurt, against Cleveland, and against Baltimore, all three of those teams have absolute solid defenses. And San Francisco committed turnovers against each one of those teams. So San Francisco can use this as an outlier. Hey, 3 of our 4 losses that we've had this year have been against teams with really solid defenses who can force turnovers. If Brock can limit the turnovers, the San Francisco's team is the limit. Right? The sky's the limit.
Here, think about it this way though. If Brock can reduce the turnovers, going into last night's game, he'd only thrown 7 interceptions all season, and now all of a sudden he tanks his MVP favorite because of one bad game. He has effectively, as of this week, been starting for 1 full season. He was the last pick in the draft. The only reason that everybody's dumping on Brock Purdy right now is because of the fact that he was the last pick in the draft. If he was the first or a second round quarterback, everybody would just be like, you know what? This is
what we expected.
Right. You know, he would be getting so much more room to fail. He's still failing up at this point.
Oh yeah,
Brock Purdy should be, as far as quarterbacks are concerned, MVP favorite.
His numbers are better than Lamar Jackson.
I still think CMC should get MVP.
I agree.
Brock Purdy should be in the discussion for it, and his chances tanked because of yesterday's game, which I think is absolutely asinine. You're going to hold one game against him. He still has one of the lowest interception ratios in the league.
True that.
And the fact that I think he was responsible for one of those interceptions. The other 3 got batted or were deflected before the defenders of the Ravens picked it off. I know 2 of them got deflected at the line. So you take those outliers out, how many of the interceptions are Brock's faults? And again, you put yourself in that situation where you have to throw the football because you're down. I think Shanahan played it too close to the chest last night because he's like, hey guys, we're down by 4, but we're turning the ball over. I think if you would have taken the ball out of Brock's hands to start the third quarter, even being down 23-12, right? You score the touchdown. Baltimore scores the touchdown. Defensively, the 49ers have proven that they can come back from 10 down this season. And even if they haven't been able to prove that they can play from 10 down, that defense is still fucking stacked. So you shouldn't change your defensive game plan. Lamar, they kept Lamar contained for the majority of that game. Why did Lamar and that offense score? Because they had short fields to play with that good, great, and elite quarterbacks know how to take advantage of. And Lamar, great on his legs. He had Isaiah Likely. He has Zay Flowers. He has Odell Beckham Jr. He has weapons. So a good to great to elite quarterback will take advantage of those short fields every time.
And shout out to Zay Flowers, too.
Yeah.
The rookie, he's playing really well for them right now.
He may be rookie of the year this year, I think. So,
I'd back that.
So, I mean, but it again, it's one loss. San Francisco still controls their destiny. Next week, they got a Washington team that I think they're going to beat the holy bejesus out of.
And then they got to destroy them.
Then they have a potential playoff matchup against the Rams to end the season. So this game against Washington, I think, is more important than a lot of people are giving it credit for, because they fall at any point in the next 2 weeks. Detroit has 2 very winnable games. Detroit plays Dallas in Dallas, which I think is underrated game of the week this week. And then they play at home against Minnesota. Minnesota at this point may not have anything to play for in week 17. Dallas is going to be playing extra hard, and I think they're going to overplay Detroit, and Detroit's going to take the win. So you have Detroit, who will finish at 13-4. Philadelphia has Arizona and New York. They're going to finish 13-4. So it's up to San Francisco. If they can win their last 2 games, they get the first round bye. They get to play at home. At this point right now, San Francisco cannot overthink this if they want that 1 seed.
All right, real quick, I do want to go into the NBA somewhat and ask this.
Can I start?
I
Can
think
you
I know
believe
which
that
way you're going, but go ahead.
Can you believe that the Bulls beat the Lakers
I
a couple
believe it.
days ago?
Yeah,
Let's
I
go.
believe it. I
Take that,
believe it.
LeBron. Michael wouldn't have lost to the Lakers. Michael wouldn't have lost to the Bulls on the Lakers. Let's go. Where's Dan for me to talk shit to him when he's not here? But
Look, Look,
my
Kobe White's playing well. And I've been saying it since the cows come home. Get rid of Zach LaVine.
So did you hear that?
If you go back and look at it totality, if you go back, he's not a very good basketball player.
However, Nikola Vujovic is out for an undetermined amount of time with a groin injury.
Yep.
So they did announce that today.
Saw that today.
I will say this with the Bulls are what, 13-14, or they're like 13-18 this year. Let me pull up their
Kobe White is taking a show. He's taking over for him.
Yeah. So the Bulls did end up beating Atlanta today. They beat Atlanta 118-113 today. So that locks them in at the moment into the 10th seed, a game ahead of Atlanta for the 10th. So they'd be in the play-in right now against Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Call me stupid, but I'm in agreement with you. Trade away Zach LaVine, if not for another all-star. Trade him for draft picks, because I think there's a team that will take his contract. And then closer to the deadline, I would see what you can get for Vujovic. Keep DeMar DeRozan. I think he's the heart and soul and scorer of that team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the way Vujovic plays, if he goes to a team like Orlando, and I know that's where he came from, but Orlando could take him back. Maybe even a Milwaukee team that's fighting for the playoffs, use that extra space inside to go up against Joel Embiid in the playoffs. They could get some picks from Orlando or Milwaukee, who are both in the middle of a playoff push.
Yeah, they're playing really well. Like I said, Kobe is playing extremely well right now. Kobe White is playing well, so hopefully he can continue to do his thing. But I did want to talk about some of these Christmas Day games. Just the parity of the league is like sick. I mean, because right now, you got the Knicks beating the Bucks. Didn't see that coming. Parity.
Nope.
You got
Nuggets beating the Warriors.
You got the Nuggets beating the Warriors on Christmas Day, 120-114.
Yeah.
I know.
Dude, I don't know what's up with Golden. Like when I look at Golden State, I think of, oh, hey, they're going to be, halfway through the season, they'll be like 30-11, 30-12. They're 15-15, man. That is not the same.
I just think it's not so much as spacing for me.
Yeah.
I just think they just need to.
And they're not the same team defensively without Draymond Green either. So
they're too much on. They play too much on a perimeter for me. You got to let that go at some, because right now Steph gets the green light, of course, but Clay is not Clay.
Nope.
He's played well the past couple of games scoring wise, but he's not the same shooter, and he's not the same defender that he once was.
I mean, there's no way Clay doesn't have a green light right now. Not at this point. I mean, I could see next season, but they want Clay to get going.
They do.
Because by the end of the season, you need Clay to be going so that you can actually be a force in the playoffs. Right now, they're not as worried. As long as you make the playoffs, as long as you get into one of the higher seeds, you're not just in the play-in.
Right.
They're going to be fine.
But my thing is, though, at some point you have to establish something on the inside, and they don't have a presence on the inside. They're all perimeter. Everything that they do is based off the perimeter. And if the shots are falling, great, fantastic, splash brothers, fantastic.
Haven't been falling this year, and that's.
But if they're not falling, they're in trouble. They don't have another way to score. There's no one who could really break the man down. They dribble off the dribble other than Steph. He's the only one that can create his own shot.
Yeah.
Clay's not the same defensively, so even if he scores a 3, whoever he's guarding, he's gonna give up 2. So I just think they need to do something because Draymond's not there. This is true, but they need to do something else. They need to have a secondary way of keeping themselves in games because when the shots are falling, they're great, they're fantastic. But when their shots aren't falling, oh man, they're in trouble. Wiggins isn't playing well.
No.
Clay isn't playing well. The bench isn't what it used to be. You had size with Wiseman, you let him go. So
they're not what they used to be.
No.
You are 100% correct. And I think that we are to some extent seeing the impact of Draymond Green missing.
Yep.
While he does not make a huge impact on the stat sheet, I think that his presence in that locker room does make a difference.
What Charles Barkley said about him, y'all. What is Charles Barkley? He's averaging a triple single.
And yes, he's averaging a triple single, but that energy in the locker room, there are certain guys in there that it's, glue guys. They're not, not about skill. Draymond is no longer a skill guy. Draymond is a glue guy.
Or a kills guy. He may be a kills guy.
Yes, he's got.
When you got more chokeholds than time on the floor, you got problems.
But people forget though, he also brings the ball up.
He does, and that's and he does provide some direction for that team, and that's why I think that I know my initial theory was that he wasn't coming back. I guess according to stuff I've seen on ESPN and looking on X, they have had meetings about a path to return. But at his age, I have a feeling he's taking his time intentionally. He'll be back for like the last 30 games of the season. 30, 40 games. Realistically. And it's not to disparage him, it's just he's older. He's saving that energy right now. He's still in shape. Yeah, he's probably going to therapy every day, but he's still in shape. So
anybody still believe in the Celtics?
They beat LA. So yeah, I mean, they got the best record in the NBA at the moment, bud. Dude, hold on, let me double check.
23 and 6.
Yep. So they're a game ahead of. I'm surprised the Timberwolves are playing as well as they are, man. Because the Timberwolves have the second best record.
Oh yeah. But the thing with the Timberwolves, though, they're young.
Yeah.
And
when you talk about size that the Golden State Warriors don't have in the middle between Cat and
Minnesota.
Gobert, they got size.
Yeah, it's in Minnesota.
So,
Can you imagine if Golden State had Cat with Clay, and Steph? Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about keeping the defense honest. What's up, Dan? What's going on, man?
You guys still got time to jump in here and talk about how LeBron is the greatest. Speaking of LeBron, how did LeBron play Christmas Day?
Probably dropped another 40 piece. He's been doing that a lot recently.
Let me take a look here. I got the box score pulled up. Hold on.
Did you see that interview where they were talking about it in the background? Going, he dropped 40?
No, Davis dropped 40. Davis was 15 of 26, 8 for 10 from the line, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, and he scored 40. LeBron played 37 minutes, was 5 of 14, 5 of 6 from the line, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, finished with 16. He wasn't even the second best scorer. Prince finished with 17. But yeah, you look at the Celtics, all of their starters finished with double digits. Tatum finished with 25. Porzingis finished with 28. Holiday, White both finished with 18. And then Jaylen Brown finished with 19. So it was a more concerted effort for the Boston Celtics to get it. So
Because I know a lot of people don't really believe in the fact that they're good enough to take the Eastern Conference, particularly with even though they lost the other day with the Bucks. A lot of people have got a hard time believing that they can hang with them. That's an awesome duo in Milwaukee though. Stoudemire with your boy.
Damian Lillard and Giannis.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's an awesome
He's
duo.
saying Stoudemire.
I'm thinking, man, I love Damon Stoudemire. Leave me alone. Mm-hmm.
Well, no, keep in mind. So the Bucks going into that game against the Knicks were 2, 4, 6. We're on a 7-game win streak and went 9 of their last 10. So yeah, they were bound to have an off night, and they had just played the Knicks 3 days before at Madison Square Garden. So, I mean, you're going to have a slip up, and that's fine.
The parity in this league is just amazing to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you got the 76ers just even though they lost the other day, they kill it. They are killing it. And they're in right now, even without Joel Embiid, they're holding their own against teams. So
there is the Celtics are one of the best teams during the regular season consistently. That's why they end up ranked so high going into the postseason.
Yep.
The problem is they put so much energy into being good now that they don't have it when they get into the fucking postseason. And that's the problem that the Celtics continue to have. Like, you know, as a Red Sox fan, I'll cheer for the Celtics when I'm watching them, as long as you're not playing the Suns. Like, you know, it's another Boston team. That's great.
I find this hard to believe. If the playoffs started today, the Suns would be out of it.
Mm-hmm.
With as many moves as you have made in the offseason, and you're half a game under 500.
Nobody's healthy. I mean, Bradley Beal's not healthy right now. And even KD said it, and he's upset with the way the team is right now. Because Bill haven't been healthy.
All of the players are frustrated with what's going on in Phoenix right now. I think they can recover. I think they'll end up making the play-in tournament. I think they've got a long road to the playoffs.
Well, keep in mind the distance between Phoenix, who is in the 11th seed, and Sacramento, who is in the 4th seed, is only 4.5. Yeah, 3.5, 4 games.
And again, what did I say? And what did I say? Parity. And you should just be in the Eastern Conference. Then a couple of years it was in the West. Now parity is everywhere. And it's really showing its head this year. So, like you said, they're only like 4 games behind.
Yeah,
so
you get healthy at the right time. And, Phoenix gets healthy at the right time, they'll make the playoffs. So.
Mm-hmm. That's one good run.
I'm not worried about it. They'll be all right. Because it's to get in, because the play-in is what, up to the 10th slot? 8th?
Yeah, so the 9 will play the 10, the 7 will play the 8. The winner of the 7-8 makes it as the 7th seed. The winner of the 9-10 will play the loser of the 7-8, and then that winner will take the 8th seed. That's how they announced it.
Yeah. I mean, Phoenix may have a long road, but because you're probably you're less than 2 games from being, in the 7 or 8, going in as the 7 or 8.
Because they're 8 games back of the Timberwolves in first. The Pelicans, who are in the 7th seed at 17 and 13, is 2.5 games ahead of them. So, I mean, it can take, a small slide by the Pelicans, Rockets, Lakers, or Warriors, and the Suns get healthy, and the Suns are right back in it. So.
Exactly. And so it's I'm not worried about it. The only thing I'm worried about is I gotta try and get a KD jersey because my Ayton jersey is getting retired.
Who did Ayton get moved to?
Portland.
Yeah, Portland.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, it hasn't been great. Portland fans are understanding why we were frustrated.
Yeah. No. And the fact that you lose Lillard and I like Ayton. I thought he was a good player in Portland or a good player in Phoenix. But if he's a guy that you're building your team around,
Ayton would be one of the best players in the league if he would just get physical.
Yeah.
He is the least physical guy of his size that I've ever fucking seen. He's fucking 10 ply.
Yeah.
And that's why Suns fans got sick of him. He has a great personality.
Yep.
He's very, he's a big kid at heart. He's a big softy like Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
But Shaq knew how to get his fucking elbows in there and knock somebody in the mouth when they kept trying to foul him and they were getting away with it.
Yeah.
You do that 1 or 2 times and they're going to stop being interested in trying to do that shit to you. And he won't do it. And that's why he keeps getting all the smoke and the refs aren't calling the fouls because he's such a big guy.
And again, that's another team.
LeBron had.
And that's another team in Portland. That's a young team. They're supposed to be building off Scoot Henderson. So we'll see how that works out. So Sabonis has been killing it I love Domantas Sabonis. Love him. He's playing really well for the Kings. All right, guys, that's all I have. That's all that
Hold on, we
I
got to
have.
shout out Luka
No.
Doncic too. Luka Doncic putting up 50 points in that game against Phoenix
Dude,
on Christmas Day.
Luka's
He's something else, dude.
Yeah, he is. He is. He
15
really
to 25, 12 to 12 from the line, and was 8 of 16 from beyond the arc. Also finished with 15 assists. When you can put up 50 points and still get double digits in assists, you're a different style of player because you're still getting your boys involved too. So
Not playing with Kyrie, but he's showing leadership.
what happened to Kyrie?
You know, he's hurt.
Yep.
Dude, if this tells you how much I haven't paid attention to basketball this year, man.
He's hurt.
So
all right, let's go ahead and move on over to some MLB. I know, Seven, you have a few things you wanted to go ahead and let us know about, and then we're going to get on out of here.
Yep. So, are you going to do the...
I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name. Check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change. Possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints.
All right, my friend, go ahead.
All right. So a couple of changes that were made to there were the MLB competition committee tinkered with a couple of things as far as rules are concerned. The first adjustment was they have changed the pitch clock in relation to when runners are on base. Pitchers will have 18 seconds instead of 20 to begin their motion to home. However, there won't be any changes to the clock when they're empty, which I'm a little surprised. I figured they would have put a little bit more onto that. And the biggest criticism, because the MLBPA voted against the rule change. But the league ultimately decides, and the league decided they were doing it. But the MLBPA's biggest concern with the pitch clock is the increase in pitcher injuries this last season. And so their position was leave the pitch clock alone. Let's get another season to collect data before we make any other changes. And the league did it anyway. The other thing is they have kind of added more to the base path when running from home to first. And the lane will now extend to the cut of the infield grass instead of really just having to stay on that line. That way, if you have to move, you can. And then what was the... Okay, here we go. Barring an injury, a pitcher who begins to warm up at the start of an inning will now be required to face at least one batter. Previously, they could be replaced during or after warm-ups. The league said there were 24 instances last season where the pitcher that warmed up between innings was replaced before throwing a pitch, adding approximately 3 minutes of dead time. Really?
3 minutes?
That's nitpicking.
Okay, so 24 instances, averaging
over
3 minutes
games.
Over 162 games.
Jesus.
For 3 minutes each of dead time. That is like an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
An hour and 5 minutes somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Really? Of total. Out of
you said 24 instances at 3 minutes apiece?
Yeah.
Hour and 12 minutes.
Okay, there you go. See? Hour and 12 minutes total throughout the entire baseball season across all 30 teams.
Not to mention the playoffs.
Makes no sense.
No, I don't agree. This was the first year that they had the pitch clock, right?
This last year, okay, in the majors. Majors. They've had the pitch clock in the minor leagues in AAA
All right.
But
this is the first year that they had it in Major League Baseball.
Right, and that's why the younger batters and younger pitchers are fine with it because they've been...
Yeah, they're used to it. They grew up with it.
Yeah, essentially they've had it.
As a fan of baseball, I like the idea of a faster game. To go nitpicking something like that, I think is dumb.
It is.
I mean, the speed of the game is nice. I don't know if 112 minutes over 162 games multiplied by 32 teams is enough to make that change. I think 20 seconds is enough, even with runners. I think you actually would need more time. I would, if anything, change it to 18 seconds when you don't have runners on base, and then change it to 20 when you do have runners.
No,
Um,
because right now I believe it's 20 seconds with runners, or it was 20 seconds with runners on, 25 when no one's on base.
Okay.
I expected them to take no one on base to 30 and leave the 20 seconds alone.
Because you think more time with nobody on base?
Yeah, a little bit.
I
Just 4 seconds to, time for walking up, making sure you're through your routine, you're set, the catcher's set, they've had time to communicate, the umpire's set.
But
it gives everybody a little extra breathing room, but it also, one of the biggest criticisms for the pitch clock, because I'm personally for it. I was unsure.
Yeah, I like the idea.
Went to a spring training game last year that was the Cubs and the White Sox, because Phoenix is great for spring training baseball. You get to see there's a lot of baseball down here in March. It's amazing.
Yep.
But you have pitchers, and it's more the older pitchers than the younger ones, because the younger ones are used to it. But a lot of the older pitchers have been more susceptible to injury because they don't get to go through the normal routine that they've had throughout their entire career. And some of these guys have had the same routine for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
could you imagine Jamie Moyer at the end of his career on a pitch clock? That would have been.
Honestly, Boston. If right now Boston is looking like they may be in on Framber Valdez from the Astros, his rotation coming into this season, his pitch sequence was 15 seconds long.
Okay.
And you have to be,
you're talking from the time that he catches the ball, gets on the mound, looks at the catcher, looks at the first baseman, and then, goes in his stance. And
I'm talking just from when he goes to start throwing his pitch after he gets set.
15 fucking seconds.
I'm serious. If you go back and watch Framber Valdez doing his pitch throwing sequence in the World Baseball Classic,
holy shit.
I
would get tired.
It is 10 to 15 seconds.
I would fall asleep. I get so you guys remember that movie Angels in the Outfield, where the announcer goes, Bass sets. And he sets.
Yes.
And he sets again. It's like, dude, that takes too fucking long, man.
Yeah. And that's
so for me, the pitch count, the way that because I don't watch a whole lot of baseball unless it's like the playoffs. The way that I look at it is your pitch count starts as soon as the catcher throws you the ball. So from the time that you catch the ball, as soon as it hits the glove,
the pitcher's glove.
So you have 30 seconds with nobody on base. And they shrunk that down to 20, am I correct?
So it's 25.
Okay, so you have 25 seconds from the time that the ball hits the glove. You have 25 seconds to get to your rotation and ball to the mound. With nobody on base.
You have to be, when the pitch clock hits 0, you have to be throwing the ball.
Okay. The ball has to be out of your hand by 0.
Essentially, that's what they want. If you're not, and if it's not, like if it's getting ready to fly out of your hand, like you're getting ready to release, they're not going to call it. But if you're not even in the windup part of your pitch, they're going to call a pitch clock violation, and the batter's going to get a ball. Just the same. But when you look at the batter side of the pitch clock, the batter has to be in the box set, looking at the pitcher with 8 seconds.
Okay. And that makes sense. Because because the batter's gonna, the pitcher's gonna set the momentum. So that batter needs to be, it's just like the defense needs to be ready when the offense to go, or the offense is gonna be like, okay, go down the field.
Right.
So
and so and there's everything with the pitch clock that what they did last year was reasonable. I did expect them to bring it out a little bit to give the pitcher a little bit more time to rest.
Because you got to give them, especially the older ones, like you said, you got to give them time to get used to something like that.
Right. And so, and I could see shortening it in the future, but for right now, you still have over half of your guys that haven't, this was their first year with a pitch clock.
Mm-hmm.
They should have had more time. They should have started with more time and worked it down. Because they made huge numbers. I think that the average game time dropped by 28 minutes.
Yeah.
With the addition of the pitch clock, so I think that that's great. but they still could have done better. And nitpicking over an hour and 12 minutes of time over an entire season, like, are you serious, guys? That's not that's going to have an average game time impact of less than a second.
Yep.
Really, honestly.
Yep.
So I'm less on that. Mound visits will be reduced from 5 to 4 per game, as the league said they rank among fans' least favorite events in baseball. Teams only average 2 to 3 mound visits per game in 2023. So yeah, I think they're kind of just giving them a little less breathing room, making sure they're more paying more attention to what they're doing. And then during pitching changes, if the clock is under 2 minutes as the reliever exits the bullpen and onto the warning track, it will be reset back to 2 minutes rather than 2:15 as it did last year. Also, the league withdrew a proposal to reset the pitch clock as soon as a batter calls a timeout. Umpires will continue to use the judgment as to when the clock starts again.
That's smart.
Okay. That's reasonable. But we have to remember that there are nutsacks like Joe West and Angel Hernandez who stand beside home plate and represent Major League Baseball as a fucking umpire. So counting on umpires to have reason is not always the safest fucking choice. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, oh, come on. I thought I had, I didn't have it on. There it is. So, I mean,
oh, man.
They're trying to get it right. And so I will give the league credit on that. But I think that they should have started with a little bit more time, like 30 with nobody on, or 25 across. Go 25 across.
Yeah.
And then when you've got batters on, okay, this is when it's supposed to be more competitive. It increases the intensity. So that's why they're shortening it. You take it from 25 to 22. And then a few years later, you drop it to 20 and then to 18. Nobody's going to complain. Nobody's going to complain. Ultimately, you're not going to have as much of an impact because you're just adjusting the whole routine by a couple of seconds at a time. Mm-hmm. And so for player safety, which is important if you're somebody who supports these sports because you want the players to be healthy so you can see them play. Mm-hmm. Player safety wise, it makes more sense to start with a little bit more and work it down because then you would have less injuries. And baseball's all guaranteed money. So they need to be attentive to those things, at least from a reasonable perspective.
All right. Anything else you got for us, 7, before we roll out for the night?
Yamamoto to the Dodgers.
Yamamoto signed with the Dodgers. One of the highest paid players in baseball and has not taken a pitch offensively or defensively in Major League Baseball.
You guys saw my picture I posted in the group chat, right? With their next guy is going to come over from Japan will be Godzilla. I love that. I love that picture, man. I gotta say, I love it.
Taking that picture, like some real baby making booty. But no, it's
all right, you guys.
Yamamoto signed. The Yankees. Hold on, I saw something. The Yankees made a small trade to the Guardians, a prospect trade.
And then the Mariners picked up Garver from the Rangers. I saw that.
Yep. White Sox signed Maldonado on a 1-year deal. Oh, and then we'll talk about this. So to wrap it up, with the whole push for Shohei going to the Dodgers, one of the individuals that was actually leading the push for Shohei to come to the Dodgers was Joe Kelly, the pitcher.
I heard about this.
She was pushing it and got Joe and, made sure Joe was going to be willing to give up his, the 17, because that's the number he wears, for Shohei to have his number with the Dodgers. After the deal was done, Shohei bought Joe Kelly's wife a brand new Porsche.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Class act by Shohei. Of course, rich people wouldn't be worried about $20,000 for an oil change, but they can fuck off.
Oh, yeah. Facts. All right, you guys.
Porsche is a gift, and I'm like, no, those things are fucking expensive to take care of. I don't want a Porsche.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh, we'll just put it with the other ones. Fuck you.
You got to, if you're complaining about your Porsche, fuck off.
Exactly. All right, everybody. I want to say thank you for coming out to the Sports Report tonight. We do appreciate it on this special edition of Sports Report. We'll be back next Monday, same time, same place. Good week.
Hopefully
good
the
week,
Chiefs
good
get a
week.
win against the Bengals, and we'll have something positive to talk about, Seven.
God, I hope so.
Me too.
For myself, for Seven, for Ando, we'll see you guys next week right here on the Sports Report podcast. Everybody have a good night. Have a good week. Take care.